I'm from Houston, Texas.
Houston.
Was born there in St. Joseph's Hospital downtown, which is still there, and lived there really until I graduated high school, Bel Air High School. There was something called B'nai B'rith Youth Organization, BBYO, and the umbrella B'nai B'rith Girls, and the Aleph Tzadik Aleph was the boys group. And they were youth groups that you joined in high school, and usually people stayed through them the entire 4 years of high school. And I did get active in B'nai B'rith Girls. I helped to start a new chapter. There were maybe 2 chapters, and they don't get too big. They want to start a new one. So I helped to start a new BBG and was president. And then it had programs that emphasized religious learning, social action, and activism in a way, learning, those kinds of things that they taught us. And then, of course, they had regional and district and national kinds of activities, and I did get very involved and on all those levels. And by the time I went to college, the first year, I had just been elected in August as the international president of B'nai B'rith Girls. So I took that off to my freshman year, and it was a lot of work, a lot of correspondence, a lot of traveling to other parts of the country and Canada to talk about Jewish values, Jewish action. So I was very involved in the Jewish community, and you know, they sent me this same group, B'nai B'rith. They had a Israel Summer Institute, and I got a scholarship to that when I just turned 16, and they sent me for 9 weeks all around Israel with a group of about 40 other young people my same age. And so when I came back, I spoke to my congregation at the high holidays. I spoke to them about my travels in Israel and what it meant to me, and then went off to UT Austin. I divorced when they were 7 and 4, and then didn't remarry until 14 years later. So there was this huge gap of time when the 3 of us were the family unit, and they saw, I didn't hide from them any of my struggles, my fears, my joys as well. And so they were, in a sense, I felt I had kind of aged along with them, learned to grow along with them. So they learned a lot about what it was to be in the world and to be a woman in the world. I thought of key concepts in Judaism. B'Tselem Elohim, that we are created B'Tselem Elohim in the image of God. And I was frank with them that I really wasn't sure there was a God, and that I'm still struggling with that issue. But I'm heir to a tradition that unfortunately many people died for, and I'm not about to turn my back on that. And it was important to me that they learn that tradition, that they study it, that they, as I have, and that it's a lifelong journey to learn not only about my religion, but everything else in the world. So, and also to point out to them their own uniqueness, and which also has a lot of Jewish value attached to it. That we say that if you kill one human, you destroy the world, a world. And I think there is a Spanish, I once told this to a friend of mine, and there's a Spanish saying, something about the cabeza. If you destroy a mind, you destroy a world. And likewise, when you save a life, you save a world. So the uniqueness of every human and their perspective is, I think, it's embedded in Judaism, but it's also, I think, in other traditions as well. So, and I find that fascinating. They are, oh, I'm going to get teary because they are the best. They're my reward for going through what I went through. I think with children you have other responsibilities and other kinds of, sometimes, conflict. And I tell parents with little kids, don't be afraid to do what you think is right for your child, because you never know. And you can do things that your children can't do because they've got to save face in front of their friends or whatever. Now, with my grandchildren, on the other hand, they can do no wrong. I mean, no matter what. And I'm always, oh, well, do you want this or you want that? We read. Now they can read to me as well as I can read to them. So every time I go to visit any of them, that's the way we end the day. I read to them, talk to them. To hear, really be able to hear and almost immerse with my grandchildren into some activity or reading or whatever is just such a gift. To watch them grow and have insights and make connections. Well, I always bring them a book every time I go to see them. So they have now quite a library, which they've also added to themselves, which I think is great. Now, that also tells you a lot. They also, play games with electronics, but they also read a lot. And so that may change a bit, but I hope I've given them a love of learning that will carry them for a long, long time. They've asked me, why we don't celebrate Christmas and get all the toys. And I say, well, because that's not in our tradition, and besides, we have Hanukkah. It's really not the equivalent at all, but they don't know. And you have 8 days of gifts. And because I taught Hebrew school for 5 years, I can help them too. I can help them with the prayers or whatever. I can translate for them. I can show them sometimes, again, the philosophical connections between the Hebrew letters and the conceptual ideas that are embedded in the language. For example, one of the things I told them, you should always tell the truth, okay? In Hebrew, the word for truth is emet. It's an aleph and a mem and a tav. And those are the first, middle, and last letters of the alphabet, which is the alphabet for Hebrew. So I told them, to me, that means it's a very central concept. And truth, you should expect it from other people, and you should also expect it from yourself. And there are other kinds of things that I've been able to share with them that, my love and I'm still learning. There's so much more to learn. But I think that for a thinking person, and I hope that they will become thinking people, that these are gifts to us to learn this language, and to embody it as well. So. My take on death is that this is all I've got. This is my reality. And what I do with my life is critical, because I don't know what's beyond that. So this is my chance to, to make a difference. And that makes me very much of an activist in my community, in my synagogue, in the larger world. I get out and work for candidates that I think are, speaking to really the goodness and the needs of other humans. And I think it's criminal, for example, that we don't pay more attention to the needs of our citizens and to be cavalier about helping someone, health care, education. That to me is an imperative. And I'll get out and work for candidates. I'll walk the blocks. I'll run. My husband ran for office and won a couple of terms, but and did what he could because our community needed him to speak up when something was not right. And of course, in our opinion, it wasn't right. But so that makes me be an activist. I think the Episcopalians talk about time, talent, and treasure. And I think that's a good analysis, and that no matter what we have, even the poorest of Jews are commanded, I use that word, it's a mitzvah, it's a commandment. It's not a good deed. It's a commandment, mitzvah. And they're commanded to give whatever tzedakah, which is usually translated charity. It's not charity, it's justice, to give whatever small portion that person can give to another, to help another. If we could provide for all of our young people who are really trying to decide, who am I? Why am I here? What's this world about? That's basic questions everybody asks. And give them the support that they need. And not just emotional support, but health care, education. All of our children need that.